Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and in this video I'm going to focus on a beautiful mushroom called lion's mane. Now this is something I've been personally using in my supplement routine for about 10 years. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we brought it into our line of herbal offerings because it is such an important piece from my perspective for cognitive benefit, prevention of dementia, and Alzheimer's. And to me, when we have knowledge of these things that were put on this earth to help us thrive, we should definitely utilize them. Now, when I was first using lion's mane, I used it in powder form and I would add it to my tea. And sometimes I would add it to a smoothie. But I kind of got to this point where I really didn't like it in my tea, weirdly, even though it doesn't have a bad flavor at all. And it got to be just a little bit of, I just love my tea plain. I don't add sugar, I don't add sweeteners, I don't add honey. I don't even add lemon, which I think is fine to add all those things, but I really just am a tea purist. And it was a lot more convenient for me to add lion's mane in capsule form. And so that's when I started adding it into our line. Now, lion's mane belongs to a really select group of powerful, powerful mushrooms. In fact, they figure that there's over 3 million species of mushrooms on planet Earth. And that's just an estimate based on what they have been able to research so far. Now, of those 3 million plus mushrooms, they've only identified 14,000 species around that. And then what makes this so exclusive is they've only identified about a dozen of those 14,000 to be in a functional medicine, have medicinal properties catalog and category. So this is, lion's mane is one of those super special, really amazing dozen mushrooms that is, all of these are worth your looking at. In fact, it belongs in the group of things like reishi, shiitake, turkey tail, chaga, all of these mushrooms, cordyceps. I love all of these mushrooms, and every single one of these mushrooms I just mentioned are somewhere in our product line, whether they're in a blend, like our Endurance contains cordyceps, freaking awesome and amazing the things that it does. We do a single of turkey tail, and then we have a mushroom power blend with 5. So to me, this is an important part of anybody's health routine, no matter what you have going on in your life, whether you're just after pure wellness, you're after cognitive function, you're after immune health. I believe that mushrooms in some form belong in our nutrition, our supplement program. So some of these are definitely culinary mushrooms, as is lion's mane. It is used, so a lot of vegetarians or vegans will use it because it cooks up and kind of shreds a little bit like imitation crab. And it can absorb the flavors of the different things you put with it. Now, the interesting thing is if you eat lion's mane and you cook it or however you prepare it, you're going to get some nutrition, but you're not going to get the benefits of the compounds that are in the fruiting body and the mycelium of a lion's mane mushroom. So you have to actually extract it, not just with a hot water extraction, but a combination of that and an alcohol extraction. And then you basically take it back down to a powder, and you can either put a scoop in your coffee or tea, or you can encapsulate it. A lot of people, you'll see this, are putting lion's mane in protein bars. There's a chocolate company that's my favorite. It's Yes Cacao. I'm in love with them. They have great products, and they add lion's mane to some of their chocolate, along with other things like ashwagandha and turmeric and all the other really good stuff into this chocolate. So lion's mane makes it into not just supplements, but it makes it into food, which is awesome because a lot of times when they add it into a food, it's already gone through the extraction process, which releases these beautiful compounds that help lion's mane cross the blood-brain barrier. So there's like so much fun research to learn about why lion's mane deserves some of your attention. Now, lion's mane is native to East Asia, which is China, Japan, and Korea, Europe, and North America. And I have seen lion's mane growing here and there in places that I've hiked over the years, not just here in Utah. And you just have to be on the lookout for it. And that's like that with any mushrooms. If you've ever tried to identify or forage for mushrooms of any kind, you know that really it's just simply a matter of paying attention. Now, this is probably a really good place to say that if you are looking for and trying to identify mushrooms, this is a place where you need to be extra careful, because if you think about what I said at the beginning, there are over 3 million species of mushrooms. Many of them are poisonous. And I think you can get yourself in a lot of trouble if you don't know what you're picking, and you definitely don't want to pop something in your mouth unless you're 1,000% sure. In fact, I believe that on the PictureThis app, the one that I use, it will correctly identify mushrooms as well. So that's something to maybe download and take a look at, and just don't put anything in your mouth, like I said, unless you're sure. And I think this goes with even adding supplements into your supplement routine, is you want to make sure that it's not going to interact with any other, maybe prescriptions you're taking. Maybe you're sensitive. You might be someone who's allergic. There's all kinds of things. And so as usual, this is just for your education and for your entertainment. Nothing I share with you is meant to be medical advice. This is just meant to be fun and educational. And then you get to go do the deeper due diligence and learn a little bit more about these things that I kind of just touch on, and see if they resonate with you and see if they fit into your own personal routine. Lion's mane mushroom loves to grow on dying or dead hardwood, and these particular trees: beech, oak, maple, and walnut. And I think it's really interesting, if you were to want to grow lion's mane on your own, which many people do, and it's actually a really fun project to do with kids, or to do if you just want to go, okay, I want to grow these mushrooms. You can buy a lion's mane growing kit. You can get it online. There's companies who make this. And I tried this one time a few years ago, and it was really just for the fun of it. And I was trying to see if this would be something that I could grow, and it would grow really well, so that I could use it as a culinary mushroom. I could cook with it. So I had one slightly disastrous experience learning how to grow with a grow kit. And then it just became uninteresting to me. But I know there are people who absolutely love to do this. And it can be a fun thing to do with kids too. So it will come with complete instructions. There's a ton of videos on YouTube that will actually show you step by step how to grow your own lion's mane mushrooms, which is really fun. Now, lion's mane has not only been around and used for thousands of years, it has a ton of really beautiful medicinal benefits and health benefits. So in fact, when it was first used, it was used for digestion before people started realizing that it was improving cognitive health. And it's these two compounds that I'm going to attempt to pronounce here. So hericenones, which is in the fruiting body of the mushroom, and ernanacines, but this is in the mycelium. And what these do is they stimulate nerve growth factors. So it's the fruiting body, extracted properly. It's like a double extraction with hot water and alcohol, then dried back down to a powder and either encapsulated or put into something you can scoop and put into your coffee or tea. Super awesome. So it's associated with improved memory, focus, and mental clarity, because with these two compounds, they have the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, which is really beautiful, because that's what you want. You want something that's going to actually do the job. And if you think about what nerve growth factor does, this is repairing nerves in your brain. This is the beautiful thing about what Mother Nature has put for us to explore, to benefit from. In fact, there's a really beautiful documentary called Fantastic Fungi. I'm sure many of you have probably seen it. It's not a new documentary. It's might even be a couple of decades old. But if you have not seen this, I would really suggest that you take a look, because it documents the fungus and the network of mycelium and fungi that grows underneath all of the plants. This is such an important piece of what makes the other plants that we all get nourished from, whether they be medicinal herbs or fruit trees or garden vegetables. That mycelium and the fungi is the supportive structure. You really look at the beautiful way that Mother Nature has expressed herself and its ability to help us humans thrive and survive and have so much joy in eating all of this nourishment. It is like perfection at the highest level. It's really awesome. So here's some of my favorite. Digestion, immune system boost. It's good for your gut. It's got anti-inflammatory and antioxidant benefits as well. And remember, you can definitely get some nutrition when you're eating lion's mane that you maybe buy in the grocery store and you bring it home and you kind of tear it up. It's a really, really fun mushroom to use when you're cooking with it. And then you saute it and add it to different things, you season it. One of my favorite things that I like to do with it is almost make it like an alternative to something like hamburger and make like a kind of a spaghetti sauce. And then the thing to do is make this with all these yummy spaghetti or Italian type of seasonings using lion's mane. And then get a spaghetti squash. I have a beautiful spaghetti squash that's sitting in my kitchen right now. And just talking about this is probably what I'm going to do with this spaghetti squash is cook a lion's mane sauce to go over it. It is not just nutritious and delicious. It is super, super fun to prepare because you've got the fun spaghetti squash, and then you've got the lion's mane mushrooms, which are really, really fun to cook with. Now, here's something really cool that I'm gonna wind this up with, because this is really where, to me, the fun of learning about plants and mushrooms and different things that humans have been using to not just nourish themselves with, but to heal themselves with. There have been ancient texts and thousands of years of recorded information about what these plants do. And the cool thing is as with all the other plants that I talk about, mushrooms also are starting to really get a lot of scientific research on them as well, especially ones like lion's mane. In fact, there's one study that was done with, funny enough, postmenopausal women, and they gave half of the group lion's mane in cookies, and the other just got the cookies. And they had them eat a certain amount over like an 8 to 12 week period. And the group, it was a double-blind placebo study, the group that ate the lion's mane in the cookies showed a significant improvement in their cognitive function. And there's been other studies as well so the scientific research is catching up to what people and ancient wisdom and shamans and all the people who've come before us have known for centuries. So I found some really, really fun, kind of magical, mystical things that lion's mane has been documented in some of these really beautiful older texts. So it was called the white mane of the forest dragon. It grows where ancient dragons sleep. Each strand is a forgotten thought made visible. Eating it is said to let you remember things from past lives and future paths. It's a symbol of deep memory and wisdom. I mean, I love these magical things that pop up when I research them. It's so beautiful. Now, it's also called cloud brain food because the cloud monks and the mind polishing practice is what this is called. So this is cloud monks and the mind polishing practice. So the monks called it the cloud brain food in temple scrolls. Okay, monks ate it before meditation to comb the tangles out of the mind. Each strand is seen as a thread of clear thought. If you look at a lion's mane, the lion's, there's a reason it's called lion's mane, or sometimes it's called pom-pom, the way it looks, but lion's mane is what it's known for. And so if you think of each strand, right? Each strand seen as a thread of clear thought. Chewing it in silence was believed to wash the inside of the skull. So some of these old-fashioned things that get written down, so beautiful. Now, there's also something I found called the 3 gates of the white mane. The gate of thought, which is clarity, memory, and eloquence. The gate of nerves, because lion's mane brings calmness, resilience, and steady hands. And then the gate of dreams, because it brings vivid dreams and symbolic insights. In fact, I've experimented taking lion's mane, right before I go to bed, and I actually added that into my routine. So I take Brain Glow in the morning, I take Brain Glow in the evening, and I do both with the lion's mane as well. And lion's mane has no stimulants, and neither does the Brain Glow. But lion's mane, there's no caffeine in it. But I feel like I get this, you go to sleep to repair, to regenerate, to let all of your body rest and recover. And it really made sense to me to add lion's mane into my supplement routine in the evening because of how it stimulates nerve growth factor in your brain. So Then I wrote, the ritual of it is to eat it at dawn, drink as tea at noon, and burn a strand at bedtime as incense. So you could dry a lion's mane. So there's all these different things that it was used for. And it's used, what I love beautifully, is ritualistically. And this can be in the most pure way. Like, it's a ritual for me to have a cup of tea in the morning. It's typically yerba mate. That's my favorite. And in the morning, I drink a lot of tea. In fact, I have a cup of tea right here. And this is dandelion root tea. So I literally have a cup of tea with me constantly throughout the day. And it's one of the last things I sip on when I go to bed. Different teas, like maybe peppermint or chamomile in the evening. And there's so many beautiful reasons to add rituals like tea into your supplement routine. Now, here's another thing I found about lion's mane. It's known as the ink of remembering, okay? Created by grinding dried lion's mane with spring rainwater. It was used for writing oaths, ancestors' names, and sacred maps. Anything written with this ink cannot be forgotten, even if the page burns. So this is kind of like an old, not really wives' tale, but in the mystical, magical things that they used to write about things like lion's mane. This is a really cool thing I found. And because it's known as the ink of remembering, it's the knowledge that hides in the reader's blood, which I thought was, okay, that's interesting. And there's probably a much bigger story behind that, right? Now, it's also known as the mushroom of second chances. Okay, and here's what I found about that. It is given to those recovering from shock, loss, or heartbreak, believed to help the nerves, quote, knit back together. It symbolizes renewal, which is this: where the mane grows, the story is not over. And I just thought, wow, like the mushroom of second chances. You know, that to me is it's not only profound and beautiful and ancient wisdom, it's magical. That's magical. Where the mane grows, the story is not over. The mushroom of second chances. And then I found this, dream walking on the lion's path, okay? Eating lion's mane before sleep opens the lion's path in dreams. It appears as a glowing corridor lined with strands of memory and fate. Plucking a dream strand grants insight or small shifts in luck upon waking. So cool, so cool. And then I found two more. This is where I'm going to end this, because I think this is such a fun thing to really open up and think about, just the ancient wisdom of some of these things, that we can get the scientific stuff, we can get a list of all the health benefits. But when you go back into these really ancient things that humans have been using the gifts from Mother Nature for, it just adds this layer of depth and wisdom and beauty from what they're all supposed to do. So it's also called the tree's whispering beard, because it likes to grow on the trees. And if you look at a tree that it grows on, and the tree is dead but it hasn't fallen over yet, it grows, and it looks not just like a lion's mane, it looks like a beard, just the way that it grows. So it's called the beard of the tree spirit in forest lore. Appears only on trees with important stories to tell. So if you think about a tree that has lived its lifespan and it's still standing maybe, or if maybe it's fallen over and the lion's mane's growing out of it there, this is a tree that has stories to tell. It stood there for a long time. Whatever happened with the animals that came through the forest or the people, and maybe some trees stood for centuries, that there was a witness. There was so much of a witness, right? Sitting quietly beneath such a tree may reveal hidden knowledge or history. So if you think about just the depth of energy, and I always love to talk about quantum entanglement, and you think about a tree that has witnessed all of this history, and this is where you take a moment, you become a tree hugger or a tree sitter, you sit beside a tree, and this is a tree that can actually infuse wisdom into you as you sit beneath it or sit next to it, okay? Said to help humans hear the language of the woods. Beautiful. Okay, and then here's the last one, which is really fun. It's known as the test of the wandering scholar, okay? Scholars in legend survive a year on 3 things: lion's mane, spring water, and bitter tea, okay? It's said to gain star-bright eyes, bell-clear voices, and palace-like memory. Lion's mane symbolizes devotion to lifelong learning. And I think that these things have been documented so beautifully with these kind of like Shakespearean flowery thing, the way we really don't write anymore. Because if you look at the simple metaphor of what these things do and what they experienced in themselves when they would, partake of things like this, and then they would write down something, lion's mane symbolizes devotion to lifelong learning. Because if they realized that they had more cognitive function, their memory was better, they got to old life with a perfectly clear brain and sharp focus, then it makes so much sense the way that we have documented these things. So I would love to know what you think about lion's mane. This is something that has just been a very quiet part of my supplement routine. I know I talk about a lot of stuff, and I do take a lot of stuff, but I would say there are a handful of maybe 5 or 6 supplements that if I were just to pick, lion's mane and probably brain glow for sure would be some of them, because I want to get to the end of my life remembering my children, remembering my grandchildren, and remembering everyone, and also just having clarity. And you think about everything that we learn as we get older, and there's a lot of emotional maturity that we gain, hopefully, as we walk through this life. And to be able to maintain it and hang on to it and be able to function as a wisdom keeper, I think is a really, really important way to walk through this world in the times that we're in. So I'd love to know what you think about lion's mane and some of these quirky little fun things I found about it. So thanks for tuning in today, guys, and we will see you next one.